Hello everybody. Been a hot minute, huh? But regardless, welcome to the second Half-Life RPG devlog. This time around, we'll cover everything I've done with the game since the last devlog that I feel is worth sharing, and then what's up next. Same deal as the first video, really. So, considering I said that we're covering everything I've done since last time, and that it's been, a while, I'm sure you're kind of surprised this video isn't a few hours long. Well, that's mostly because a lot of the stuff I got done was either on the extremely technical side, just stuff I did to make my own life easier while working on the game. Stuff like reorganizing sprite sheets, removing old unused or outdated assets, adding in most of the weapons and armor in advance, things like that. What I have gotten done that's major enough to talk about is the hazard course. That thing everyone always skips on their playthroughs has been added both as it is in the original, as well as because there's mechanics in the Half-Life RPG specifically that need explanations of their own. Things like the run button, that most, if not all, objects in the overworld are interactable, etc. Something I'd like to talk about here specifically to kind of gauge how people feel about it, though, is I have modified the tutorial for the health and suit chargers to be more than just explaining that they now serve as shops. I've added a third charger, the save charger. It's exactly what it sounds like. Interacting with one allows the player to save the game. I was going to leave saving as an option in the menu originally, but after seeing a few people I know playtest, and just generally playtesting myself, I found that more often than not people just didn't, because it's not ever said anywhere and it's just kind of one of those options in the menu you never see. So I've made them a charger that can be found wherever the other two are. That way the player can stock up on items, fully heal themselves with the HEV charger, and then save their game. My only worry with this so far is that I know suit and health chargers become quite scarce as the game goes on, though considering they're in basically every other room for right now, I feel as though this is fine. Outside of the hazard course, as I said, I mostly worked on stuff that'll make my life easier, reorganizing the info dock I keep, adding items that won't appear for ages, and stuff of that sort. There's also been a few aesthetic adjustments I'm sure you've noticed from the background footage, the most major being that I figured out how to layer the dialogue portraits behind the boxes. This means I'm no longer sacrificing space that the actual text needs to appear for the massive portraits. There's also some other visual things I'll get into later. Then, after that, I finished Unforeseen Consequences. Theoretically, assuming I somehow accidentally tripped, fell, and pressed the magic release build button on my massive one-button keyboard, you could play through the entire first two chapters of the game and the hazard course. Then I stopped working on it almost entirely? Yeah, so I wanted to take a short break after finishing Unforeseen Consequences so that I didn't get hit with burnout, which is something that has caused the majority of my previous projects to end up being shelved or put on hiatus. But looking back now, that break was 100% burnout hitting me like a truck. Don't worry, it's not cancelled. A lot more progress has been made since, because that was in like March. So let's start with one of the biggest developments. I've been working on replacing the temporary placeholder art for the character sprites and busts with commissioned art, thanks to the wonderful and insanely talented Erasmo Chang. All the Black Mesa scientists and Dr. Freeman himself now have a full set of overworld sprites. Just look at them waltzing around. They don't even know they're about to end the world. As well as that, the amazing Firefly has made some wonderful dialogue busts for Gordon, both in and out of the HEV suit. They look absolutely fantastic, and I cannot thank either of them enough for their help on this. Seriously, you two rock. Another section that's got a load of work done is Office Complex. AKA, why are there so many fucking head crabs? The chapter. I finished basically the entire chapter, functionally, from beginning to end, with the only things missing being a few specific sequences that I still need to figure out how I want to tackle, as well as replacing some more of the temporary art. It plays out much the same as the original game. Nothing too major gets switched around until about halfway through. Remember this guy?
I just overheard a secure access transmission. Soldiers have arrived, and they're coming to rescue us. Of course, I have my doubts that we'll live long enough to greet them.
So what if I told you he's been replaced with this guy?
Yes, I'm Dr. Rosenberg. Although I'm not very proud to admit it, seeing as though I'm partially responsible for all of this.
So here's where a slight change in the story of the RPG occurs. I won't get too into the nitty-gritty, but in short, Jean and Colette split off from the party here to go down the story of Half-Life Decay. Their journey they take is playable fully, though. I have to figure out the finer details of it, but there's going to be times throughout the game where your perspective splits away from Gordon and Barney to see what Gina and Colette are up to. Oh, and if you're wondering about Barney and a certain other playable character, just wait. I have plans for them and their stories too. I've also changed up how battles work since the last devlog. Rather than being seen from the first person perspective, they're now side view. This has the benefits of not needing to make a ton of custom attack effects, which are a lot more tedious and worse looking to make than simply adding attack animations when characters' enemies are attacked, like bullet decals. This also lets you see the player characters, which, when it comes to some of the longer battles, will help you recognize who's low on health faster. It also just generally looks better, I think. As I'm sure you've noticed, the art is all still very temporary, but that is going to change. Eventually. I've also commissioned the lovely TheShipySea, otherwise known as Mallory, to create a custom track to be played in battles. Have a listen to this snippet. This now means I'm not reusing one of the original game's tracks for battles, so now all the music from the original can be played in their proper places without feeling off. Thanks for the phenomenal track, Mal. Means a lot. I think next up we'll be finishing some of the final bits of Office Complex and then starting work on either We've Got Hostiles or the first chapter or so of Decay. I also want to go back through what I've already completed and refine it a little bit, adding and editing dialogue, replacing any placeholder sprites I might have missed, and adding some missing stuff that I've been planning on since the start, such as the announcement system. There's a few other things I've already planned, but they're for areas I haven't started yet and likely won't for a while, so there's no point spoiling anything about them. I'm not sure what I'll be doing after all that, but I'll be sure to keep you updated and not leave you hanging for quite as long this time. Hopefully this makes up for the extremely long bit of radio silence since my last video on this. I try not to let projects I'm working on just abruptly die, but hey, shit happens. I'm not sure how exactly long it'll be until you hear about this project again, but I'll probably post a bit about it on my socials or generally just be a bit more active when it comes to these devlogs. There's still a lot that I've got to get done too. There's quite a number of things I've either started and not finished, stuff I can't figure out how to get working properly, or simply things I've been too afraid to begin working on. But hopefully I'll still be able to get everything I want done, eventually. Though this is a project that costs a fair bit of money because I have to pay for the amazing art. So if you want to support the project, and by extension me, I do voice acting and source filmmaker commissions all on my Ko-Fi. Check it out if you want. Thanks a million. And if you do feel like helping out in some other way that isn't monetary by joining the team, feel free to message me on any of my social media. The ones I'm actually active on are in the description. Be sure to check out the wonderful artists and musicians that make this game look as well as it does. Links to their sites, portfolios, and other socials are also in the description. Thanks again, you three. It means so much to me. That's all from me for now. See y'all around. Bye-bye.